What's up, Ramblers? I know you want to get into today's podcast, but real quick, make sure you're keeping up by following Assistance HQ and Offsource HQ across all platforms, anywhere on all social medias, to keep up with all of the latest content, updates, exclusive, and everything else. And for business owners, visit offsource.tech for all of your office outsourcing needs, a virtual assistant for every occasion. All the links are in the bio, so go check them out right now. Now, here's your podcast. Before we begin, a moment from our sponsor. Hey guys, welcome back to another wonderful episode of The Rambling. I have with us today an amazing guest, the owner and founder of Entre, Michael Marra. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Marra, yeah.
Marra. Michael
Yeah,
Marra. How are you doing today? Introduce yourself.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah. No, it's good. Everything's going well, man. And a lot of craziness going on, but we're doing good, and we're just continuing to grow the company and our network and everything that we're doing with the app. As you mentioned, the company Entre, we're a social network for entrepreneurs. Really anyone who identifies as self-employed and really the future of work. So you can think of us as kind of the younger modern version of LinkedIn, but much more geared towards entrepreneurship than jobs and careers and professional.
Wow. So in the world of massive startups that are trying to do all of these like social connectivities, what made you decide to go after that particular market?
Yeah, I mean there's this huge gap that's there. It's very fragmented, right? And this is not just for startups, right? There's actually a very small percentage of entrepreneurs that want to be startups and tech companies and billion-dollar companies, right? The majority of people just want to have an online business, be a freelancer, have a small business, do something that they care about that can make them money, right? And they can be their own boss. They don't want to deal with raising money and finding investors and developers and building this whole team and dealing with all of that stuff. However, it obviously we want to be inclusive to startups. It's just not the whole thing. And even with that being said, I mean, there really isn't a go-to place that everyone knows to for entrepreneurship in general, right? A lot of it's based on who your network. They can help introduce you to other people. They can help get you started and whatnot. But for the majority of people out there, they have no idea where to start when to set up their business. They have no idea what to do, who to talk to, whether to write a business plan. Should they go get an MBA? Should they talk to a lawyer? What should they do to get going and get started? How can they meet other entrepreneurs, right? And there's a lot of small communities and stuff, but there is not a free public unanimous player that everyone knows to go to for this, and that's really what we're building. We want to make it so simple, right, for anyone who wants to start a business.
Wow, I really do like that's actually kind of coincides with what we're trying to build over here at Offsource, supporting small business owners, which is really one of the reasons why I'm trying to be like one of the, I guess, first mergers onto the app, because I like what it's trying to be geared towards in terms of being like an entrepreneur myself and everything. How'd you come up with the app?
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly through my own desires and wants to meet other entrepreneurs, and then not really being able to find that place. So, we started growing everything with the membership site and then events and whatnot. And there was just a huge opportunity to build an app. And with the amount of people interested in entrepreneurship now, there was a huge gap there and a huge outlet to do it, because really the only player in business networking is pretty much LinkedIn, and they dominate the whole market. But it's very old school, it's very corporate, and it does not vibe with entrepreneurs, and it does not vibe with the younger community either. The kids who are interested in this stuff, none of them are using LinkedIn, right? So they're on TikTok, Instagram, talking to people and networking and doing things that way. And it's just very different. So, we saw the opportunity, started doing it, started building out the app, because that's what, we saw as a great way to grow this and turn it into a massive company. And, we started building it out a couple years ago, really last year, started really developing it. And then this year we opened it up on iOS, Android, and web. And then we just did our official public launch just in October. I think you were on earlier than that. I think you were in the beta.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where, we're growing like crazy. We just cracked like 12,000 users. We're probably hit 25K by the end of the year. And then the network effect will really start taking hold. Yeah.
So as you guys are continuing to grow, what's been your primary strategy for acquisition of clients? That's very hard nowadays as people are trying to scale and everything. What has been your acquisition strategy?
Yeah. The biggest thing for us, it was, a little bit different for us since we already had a community through the events. We've done over 200 events. We've done events across like 12 different cities, and we had all these partnerships and email lists and following already built out before. So we use that. We use our social following. A lot of people are finding us just online on different social platforms, mostly Instagram and TikTok right now. And then our events are another huge user acquisition channel for us, right? So by using the events that we put on, we bring a lot of people into our network, right? Because they want to see our speakers, or we bring in a lot of VCs or angel investors, founders of, multi-million. We've had a couple $1 billion founders, speak at our events and stuff. So, providing that as a level of, access to people, it's something that people want. And at the end of the day, if you give people what they want, you'll be successful.
That's actually pretty good. So for the people that don't necessarily have that kind of following, I try to always realize some things, right? So I started everything from scratch, and we've gone to helping over 13 small businesses this year so far and everything. And what we really try to do is bring, I guess, as much value as we can. So I'm really big on community. I've seen a lot of great founders, including yourself, I would say, take the social media route in terms of trying to create a lot of buzz. Dom from Fast being another person who I think did a pretty good job with their launch. What is your big secret, I guess, or what was your tip, if you had to give one, for curating your community or growing that community that gave you that little oomph when you were ready to start doing things?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to do something that people want, right? Like that first and foremost, if you're trying to do something and no one wants it, you need to pivot and stop right there, right? So very early on, it was clear, people wanted this, right? Even with our events, people were willing to physically come to events and pay money to come to events across many different cities just to meet other entrepreneurs. Well, okay, so if we can create this in a digital format, how many people are gonna, do it, right? So that was very obvious. The hard part is figuring out the exact way to go about it, what features, all the technical aspects, and and things that go into it. You know what I mean? So that's first and foremost, right? If you don't have that, then you have to get that going. You have to figure out some sort of form of proof of concept and traction to figure out if people are actually interested in what you're doing. Then you got to figure out, really where is your audience currently, interacting? Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? Where are they, hanging out on a daily basis? And then slowly start infiltrating that, right? Slowly start reaching out, connecting with them, and using these other platforms that are out there as a way to build their relationships out. I'm not sure I kind of forget a little bit of the second half of that question, but like, you know, if you don't have the first thing down, like there's no point of doing anything else. You have to get to the point where, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, someone actually wants it.
So where was your beyond a shadow of a doubt? You know, you're currently hitting 25,000 users by the end of the year, you're saying. So where was your, this like has a user market and this is going to catch traction?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, because I started it originally with a membership site, and well, actually I started originally with a Facebook group and just an Instagram, and this was like 4 years ago, man. And every single person that I met in Entrepreneur that I met, and I was like, hey, I have a community of entrepreneurs. They're like, oh, cool, like let me join. Like, no one said no, like no one didn't want it. And I was like, all right, well, obviously there's something here, right? And then I was like, okay, well, I could just do a membership site like everyone else, so I could do events, but that's nothing big. Like, there's a bunch of people who have Facebook groups and Slack communities and membership sites, and they sell courses and coaching and all this other stuff, right? And those can be good businesses. They can be $1 million, multi-million-dollar businesses, no problem. But I'm not, that wasn't what I was trying to do. Like, I'm trying to build I'm trying to build $1 billion company. You can't do that if you don't own the platform, right? You have to own and control the platform and the technology and the data. So to do that, you have to build out like the actual tech side of things, and that's where the app comes in. But I mean, with just that initial like interaction with entrepreneurs and people like wanting to sign up, collecting emails, like signing up for Facebook. And then when we started doing the events, and it wasn't just like here in Pittsburgh or New York City, we started doing them DC, Miami, Chicago, LA, San Francisco. And it's just like everyone was down. Like, there's so many people. And we weren't even like a big brand or doing any marketing or anything. So I'm like, there's no doubt like this is something, you know what I mean? And once we started rolling out the app and getting people on it, like, I mean, we have users from 150 different countries already. So this is not, and it's not just a US thing, like this is global. This is a global phenomenon, entrepreneurship now. And like I was saying, a lot of people just think of startups and tech, and it's like, it's not even that at all. It's everything, right? There's so many different types of entrepreneurs out there, but they all relatively need the same things for the most part. Besides the tech companies, they need a lot more resources. They need funding. They need to hire. They need to grow very quickly. But all of these people need to network. They need businesses. They need websites. They need email marketing. They need social media marketing. They need to understand all of these other things. And there's no place for them to get this right now. There's no place for them to access this. They have to use several platforms to actually find their tribe, find like-minded people, and they have to use platforms that aren't built for entrepreneurs, right? So at the end of the day, we care about them. They know that we're actually building this from the standpoint as they're part of this. They know who we are. They can hit up our team. We have customer service. We have support. They can attend our events. They know and can interact with our team. All of these other social platforms are like Wizard of Oz. It's like behind the curtain. No one knows what's going on. They're stealing your data. You know, everyone hates them, but still uses them. It's a very terrible relationship. They have no customer service. No one knows anyone from their team. They just send people to FAQ sections and make them fill out a ticket. They don't do any events. They don't bring anyone together. They actually separate people. So we're kind of flipping social networking on its head, right? We're doing it the opposite of what most platforms are doing, right? We're truly caring. We want people to know us and feel like they can reach out whenever they want.
we're trying to take that similar thing. I feel like people have a different sense of trust in your brand when they're able to say, oh, I was able to talk to, a high person in this particular company and my problem was solved. It gives them a closer sense of, you know,
Exactly.
yeah, that closer relationship with you guys. So how, on a scaling level, how do you what's your I guess plans for trying to be able to mimic that on a larger scale as you hit, like, say 1 million, 2 million users, and you're getting, instead of say 30 and 50 calls a day, you're getting 500, 700 calls a day.
For sure. Yeah, and it's something where we don't really want to do calls. It's more of I think we can do most of it through chat, right? And this is where, like, because right now we're using Zendesk, and there's a ton of other like chat platforms out there, but I think people are fine with texting and chatting instead of calling. I think the majority of young people actually prefer to just chat real quick rather than pick up the phone and call. So if we can streamline that for support and whatnot, then we'll be fine. We won't have to worry about calls, and that will allow us to scale the support much easier, right? And this is something where, yeah, we'll probably have a lot of support people from different countries. We'll probably have, because we're already a global platform, but like being it so that you could talk to someone from your country, right, or your city, right? And this is where community managers come into play. Like, we want to have people, like, if you're in Connecticut, right, like, we want to have someone there, right, who
Right.
is like your community manager, right, or whatever, and you can hit that person up, right, for something. Do you know what I mean? And you can see them at the monthly events in your state or city, right, and you can interact and grow a relationship with them. Do you know what I mean? So it's always going to be tricky at scale. Quality is always hard. Customer service is always hard at scale. But there's ways that we can streamline things to make it easier. And a lot of it also comes down to user experience, right? If you have a great user experience and your platform's simplified and easy to use, then the customer service shouldn't really be there, right? So if we're able to iterate and continue to make the product better and better and easier to use, then customer service won't really even need to be a thing. But we want it to be there for people, and we want to make it super easy that at any given point in time, you can message someone, whether you're on the mobile app or the web app, and someone is going to reply to you. And it's not going to feel like support. It's going to feel like a normal DM, but it's going to be with our team. Do you know what I mean? So
Right.
the chat's just going to be like, it's going to be very friendly. Do you know what I mean? Instead of making it an external thing, it's going to be an internal thing, right? So, for example, you won't have to leave the platform. You'll be able to reach our support team just like you would DM anyone else, right? They're just another user on the platform, except they're with the team.
That's really cool. I want to switch gears for a quick second. You're in the complete tech industry. You're building an app and everything. You started as you're saying like a web sign up and everything. Do you do any coding?
I don't know. No. So I'm heavily involved with the product. I do some of like the UX UI stuff. Like, I've built websites and all of that. I just don't like it's one of those things where I kind of made the decision not to go that route.
Right.
Looking back on it, yeah, it obviously would have been nice to, like, my background civil engineering, would have been nice to do computer engineering or something like that in college instead. But like, it is what it is, and I can focus on the other more important thing, or not necessarily more important things, but other important things that, like, as a CEO I need to do, right? That if I was coding, like, I wouldn't be able to spend time on marketing and content and fundraising and all of these other things that are also important.
Right. I feel you. I'm in that exact same, I guess, necessary situation. I don't do any of the coding. We don't necessarily have our own IT platform or proprietary platform yet. We go through Zoho, but I do all of like that front facing stuff. So for the people, because I do have someone else that's a friend that actually is in this particular space, they're creating a platform for musical artists to have like a platform. So like creators and everything to have a place to share and connect with each other instead of like
Nice.
with an audience. And so what I want to know is, or what the audience, I guess, would like to know is, what skill set or do you use most to run a company that is pretty large, worldwide and in the tech, but don't do any coding?
Yeah. I mean, it's a really interesting question. I mean, it depends on the type of tech company you have as well, right? Because for us, we're a very consumer facing product. Do you know what I mean? So for us, it's heavily focused on product, user experience, community, marketing, branding, all of those things, right? For other tech companies, they could be more of like just a B2B SaaS company or something, right? And then it relies heavily on sales, right? Like if I was doing that, like I'd want a badass sales person there, whether it's a founder or someone else. Because if you don't have that piece, someone who can sell, set up partnerships, is good at just like making those relationships and selling and doing that, then it's going to be really, really difficult, right? For us, like we don't really need that like hardcore salesperson because of the type of company that we have, right? We do need some marketing in that, but at the end of the day, the product is such a critical piece of it, because if we do it right, the product should spread itself, right? If we create the best user experience possible for entrepreneurs and give them everything they need in one place, it should spread like wildfire anyway. So for us, it's like, product focus, right? That's like what I'm, focusing most of my time on, is creating the best product and the best user experience possible, and making sure all of our users are happy and they're continuing to love us at every update that we push out. So again, it depends on the type of business, but for us, that's my focus, right? So that I'm not technical and I have good people in place for that. And that took time as well, because finding good tech is tough, and it's one of the hardest things entrepreneurs go through. It's one of the biggest problems we're trying to solve too with our platform, letting people be able to post co-founder positions and filter developers in one click, and hit them up. So that's a huge part of it as well.
Wow, that's pretty good. You guys are moving full steam ahead, So obviously you guys having a bunch of virtual jobs, and if you will, being a developer, doing a bunch of things on the computer, we've moved into a virtual age in this pandemic.
Sure.
I think we've done a pretty good job at weathering this particular storm this time, but as next year rounds, what are your Q1 plans as we enter 2021?
Yeah, we have a lot of, there's so many things that we have on our roadmap. It's ridiculous. And, as entrepreneurs, you want to do everything all at once, and you have to prioritize things. You have to focus, and you have to put, one thing in front of the other, and figure out what's the most important thing, given the time and with everything going on. So for us right now, it's the networking, right? So we're building out these features that are literally going to change the entire game, and that no one else is doing. That's going to enable literally on demand and instant networking, where you can, at a click of a button, get matched with another user instantly online. And it's going to be pretty wild. So for us, like, we are really focused on how can we be the absolute best at creating an online networking experience for the new business world, and online networking, online meetings, events, and just connection, and streamlining that whole process, so that you don't have to use all these different platforms to discover, actually meet people and then follow up with people as well. You can just use us.
That's dope, man. I'm glad you were able to come and share everything with us. We absolutely loved having you, man. I guess we're gonna have to have you back next year as you start knocking some of those things off the roadmap with the updates and everything.
For sure. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and yeah, thanks for having me on, and thanks for being a part of our community too. And yeah, definitely, we'll keep you posted on everything for sure.
All right, thank you so much. Before you go, Ramblers, if you enjoyed today's podcast, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and make sure you're following me across all platforms at Assistance HQ. Catch up on exclusive content and keep track of everything going on at OffSource. See you in October.